In today's video, we're going to be talking about why are so many young men extremists or becoming extremists, both in their actions, in their thoughts, in their behaviors. And if you've not been living under a rock, if you've been on social media, especially from TikTok to Instagram, particularly, and Facebook, you will see that being more grounded in your thought process is becoming archaic, is getting thrown out of the window. A lot of young men are either becoming extreme right or extreme left. So it's on both sides, both extremes. Extreme, this is my left hand, extreme left and extreme right. And both are wrong. Both, whether you're extreme left or you're extreme right, you are both wrong. Because you know why both are wrong? Because anytime you're dealing with people, anytime you're dealing with human beings, you cannot be extreme. Guys, my professor back in university, he said something to me that has stuck with me since. He said, life is not black or white. Life is gray. Life is not black. Life is not white. Life is gray. Because it's the truth. If you are evaluating life, especially human beings and human conditions, you cannot take an extreme perspective. That's automatically wrong. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you my opinion as to why young men, especially young white men, are becoming more extremist in their beliefs. Extreme left or extreme right. Mainly young white men, but also men, black men, and other groups of men. But I'll give you my opinion from my observation. The first reason, in my opinion, why a lot of men are becoming extremists is because a lot of men don't have a sense of belonging. So number one, they don't have a sense of belonging. Okay? So this is the first reason why I think a lot of young men are becoming extremists. And to explain this point even more, I would say this. We are living in a society where forming bonds is becoming difficult. A lot of people are lonely. A lot of people don't have social skills. A lot of men don't have social skills. A lot of young men particularly don't have social skills, right? A lot of Gen Zs, for example, they grew up with their phones. A lot of Gen Zs grew up with not learning how to interact with strangers, not learning how to create your own thoughts. Everything is very, in a sense, you were told what to think. You were told what to say. You were told, you didn't have to go outside and socialize. You had your phone. You had your video games. And nothing against video games. I love them. I have a PlayStation 5 myself. But when you don't have the social skills to go out into the world and make mistakes and learn from people, and you grow up with social media, you are becoming more exposed to either extreme right beliefs and extreme left beliefs. And when you don't have the skill to build social bonds, okay, in person, or rather in real life, you're going to fall into different echo chambers, right? Especially if you don't have a sense of belonging and you are angry at the world. Okay, when young men don't have a sense of belonging, they're going to look for that sense of belonging somewhere. And this could be from gangs, this could be from extreme beliefs, especially when you need a scapegoat. Okay, when you don't have a sense of belonging, you're going to look for a scapegoat. You look for a scapegoat. And this scapegoat usually tends to be women, races. So this is why the Latinos, Arabs, blacks, or whites, or even the whites, right? And whoever else, I don't know. So these are the scapegoats. And immigrants. Immigrants is a big one, okay? So they don't have a sense of belonging. And when you don't have a sense of belonging, you don't have the skills to build social skills in real life. What are you going to do? You're going to look for a scapegoat. And with the social media algorithm now pushing more extreme content, you're going to fall into either extreme left or extreme right. And you're going to look for a scapegoat, which is typically women, races, and immigrants, right? You need somebody to blame. You need somebody to hate. And that's why a lot of young men are becoming extremists. They don't have a sense of belonging. And when you don't have a sense of belonging, you're going to look for that sense of belonging somewhere in an echo chamber, okay? That's why you'll see, like the red pill, for example. The red pill. Most of the followers of the red pill are really young men, okay? Most of the followers of the red pill are really young men. Young men, really young men, who have not even dated themselves. A lot of the people who follow the red pill are young men that have not even dated. Or maybe they've dated once or twice, had their heart broken, and now they hate women. And now they've become these philosophers. You know, if you see some of the content that thrives now on, that appeals to a lot of young men, it's a lot of like hate type of content, like how to punish women, how to treat a woman so that she never forgets you, how to treat disrespect. I'm like, why is this content trending? It's because a lot of young men don't have a sense of belonging. And these social media content creators are benefiting of this. They are benefiting of this misery. So they pump this content out, and a lot of these young men that have no sense of belonging, you delve deeper and deeper into this content, and guess what? The cycle continues. That's point number one. Number two, why are so many young men becoming extremists? It's because, number two, in my opinion, many men are unhappy at the new world. Okay? This is number two. Many men are unhappy at the new world. Now, especially white men. And I'll say this. And I'm not trying to point the fingers at anybody. You see, for the longest period of time, white men have always been the standard. White men have always been the end all be all socially. But the modern era, now you have to share that spot with other groups of men who deserve to be there, by the way. And a lot of men, they are shouting diversity, diversity, diversity. And it's not really diversity. You're only screaming diversity, DEI, and woke because you, as a white man, you're not used to sharing that position of power. That is just the truth. Because what is diversity at the end of the day? It's just giving somebody access to something that they would never have had access to without that program. It doesn't mean that they're not qualified. It just means that they're qualified, they just have access. So a lot of men in the context of white men who have never really had to share space, now have to share space, and now they see this as, we are being replaced. No, you're not. You're not being replaced. You're just sharing. You understand? So this creates, changing landscapes. Or for men in general, you have men now who have to, compete with women. Okay? Compete with women. They have to compete with women for jobs, for opportunities, for businesses. This is a relatively new thing, and you have a lot of young men who don't know how to evolve with this. And now they join extremist groups. They become misogynist. They join the red pill, and it's all about women belong in the kitchen. They may not say overtly, but because they don't know how to evolve into this new world, right? They now gravitate towards extreme beliefs, either extreme left or extreme right beliefs. And they forget that life is lived in the middle. So for now, I'm going to leave these 2 points. I think it's a long enough video. And depending on how well this video does, I might continue with a part 2 on this. But this is, in my opinion, this is why a lot of young men are becoming extremists. It's really as simple as this. Right? Number one, a lot of young men don't have a sense of belonging. When you don't have a sense of belonging, you're going to look for a scapegoat. You're going to look for scapegoats. Typically women, immigrants, Latinos, Arabs, blacks, whites, whatever. You're going to need somebody or something to blame for your misery. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, many men are unhappy with the new world because the world has changed. The world is global, and in the context of white men, a lot of white men, they're not used to sharing the stage with other people. So because they're not used to sharing the stage, they call everything woke, diversity, DEI, because you're not used to it. As a black man, I've had to fight for everything that I have in my life. Absolutely. So I feel like some white men, they're not, when you grow up with some type of privilege, it might not, social privilege or social capital privilege, equality and access to other groups looks like oppression when it's really not. So I think this is something, there's something to be said for white men in general. Now that you have to compete with other groups of men around the world. Now you have to compete with the Indian man, the black man, the Asian man, the Arab man. And yeah, you got to compete. It's the world we live in. Gone are the days where, I couldn't get a job because I'm black. I couldn't get a house because I'm black. It still exists, but it's not as blatant as it was back then that only you could get a job because of your skin color. Only you could get a house because of your skin color. I'm not trying to make this about race, but it is very critical for this point. A lot of white men, especially, are not happy with that because they're not used to it. But you have to get used to it because this is the new world order. And number two, men in general are still adapting to the new world of competing with women. Now, even in dating, it's no longer enough that you're a man. You have to come to the table with a lot more than just being a man. Are you emotionally intelligent? Are you financially competent? Are you a safe man? Are you a safe space for women? That's why you see a lot of men who can adapt to it. They talk about, oh, I'm traveling abroad to Southeast Asia to go get me a feminine woman. So there's a lot of things happening, and this leads to men becoming extremists. Instead of evolving and thinking and trying to associate with what's really happening, they just go into extreme beliefs, either extreme right or extreme left. And to round up this video, like I said before, both extremes are wrong. Extreme right or extreme left, both of you are wrong. Life is lived in the middle. You cannot be extreme when you're evaluating human beings. That's just not correct. Okay?